This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
Let's go to the moment that shocked even seasoned courtroom observers. And we're not going to make you endure Donna's weird looks again. We're just going to describe it. On September 4th, a jury convicted Donna Adelson on all counts: first-degree murder, conspiracy, solicitation, and the killing of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel. But what hit just as hard was what came after. Donna's stunted outburst kind of went something like, "Oh!" That's my impression of it. Audible gasps, near collapse. It wasn't just another conviction in the case. This was a matriarch, the chess master, realizing the game was over. Jennifer Coffindaffer is joining us, retired FBI special agent. I want to start right there with that courtroom moment where Donna got the news that she was, in fact, guilty. What did you think?
Well, I mean, didn't we sort of expect that? I mean, she's a highly emotional, highly charged, very dramatic, even with her earmuffs on inside out. She's a character, and yeah. I didn't expect for her to withhold anything. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think she really thought she might get off, because that's part of that mentality of thinking she's smarter and better and she's going to get away with it. So I think she was truly surprised. I really don't think it was fake.
Not fake, but what was the outrage? Was the outrage, "You caught me," or was the outrage, "You don't believe me," or was the outrage, "I'm now going to have to spend the rest of my life in prison because I was a participant in murdering my son-in-law"?
The outrage was, I lost.
Yeah.
I lost. I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. And that is a huge consequence of this chess game. And I think it was the realization, Tony, she lost.
Yeah. I'm really, I can't say I'd be surprised if she thought she was going to be found innocent. I think to the rest of the world, everybody knew she was going to be guilty, but somehow in her mind, in her brain, this was somehow going to work out. Is that a product of her being just so insulated in her own way of thinking and only surrounding herself through most of her life with people that are just yes people? Whatever you want, Donna, we'll make it happen, because we know if we say no to you, life's not going to be so great. We heard that from her son, Rob. Her attorney, her Tom Petty lookalike attorney that also seemed like Donna's doppelganger at the same time, seemed to be a shocking reflection of Donna in many ways. So I'm guessing there was a lot of insular thinking going on within the conversations there. Do you think there was anybody telling Donna, "Hey, this might not work out so well"?
Probably not within her inner circle. Look, she's a winner, right? When you think about 75 years of her life, or 74, 73, you know, before all of this started really hitting, she wasn't used to not getting her way. And I think she really thought she might, you know, get away with this. But she didn't. And that was the huge epiphany that happened in that moment.
She's 75 years old. Realistically, what is the prison time that she's facing, which is very likely the rest of her life, look like now that we're moving from jail, where we already know she didn't like that. She didn't like the bedding. She needed her earwax cleaned out more and more. Is it going to be easier for her in prison custody, or is this just going to keep going downhill?
No, it's going to get worse for her. And listen, people know who she is. I keep wondering if they're going to have to put her in seg, not because she's a danger to anybody, but because of those inmates being in danger to her from the standpoint of wanting to make a name for themselves. So whenever you have somebody famous like that, and you have other prisoners in there that have nothing to lose, they're facing lifelong sentences. Sometimes really violent things happen for that reason.
Is there any sort of cushiness or a little bit, you know, less danger with the fact that she's 75? Does anybody look at that as, well, she's 75?
Nah. There's, you know, these women who commit these crimes are locked up in these institutions for these long periods. I mean, this is a murder conviction, Tony. So it's not like she's in there for shoplifting.
Yeah.
And because of that, she's going to be just seen by the rest of the inmates as just that. Now, that's not to say that some of them might not develop, a relationship with her. And, there might be some positivity in that in sort of a weird way. But no, she's not going to get any special treatment from her fellow inmates at all.
Well, and it's also, it should be noted that going into this, she has a track record. She ended up having jailhouse snitches testify against her in her trial. And Donna did not come through on her promises of what she was going to give them. There was no grand piano. There was no 10 grand dropped. There was no hair extensions. There was a box of gas station food, basically, from the commissary that was given to one of the jailhouse snitches. So going into it, they're going to know that her promises, although they did seem quite grand at the beginning, are just that. They're empty. Donna was in jail using the inmates that she was around for her own gain. So she's going into this, not a lot of clout. There's no reviews of like, yeah, Donna's going to get you whatever you need. There's not going to be a lot of trust there off the bat either.
Yeah, I agree with you. The clout is down the drain. But I will say this, she wasn't the one that snitched. I would be much more worried about the snitches that have to go back in because they are tainted, even though the quid pro quo didn't come through. And I'm sure that's what they're going to bring up as to why they snitched. But nevertheless, I'd be much more worried about them than Donna in that regard.
You think there'll be a lot of calls to Harvey going, oh, we need to fill this canteen. We need to do this. Remember my mom's jewelry? Send that off to here. Send that off to there. I would think that she might be a hot target for extortion.
I totally agree with you. But I also think, she's smart. She's savvy. She's manipulative. And she has means. She has means. So I think she's going to be able to use some of those means to make her life more bearable in prison, but it's going to be awful.
Could her legal team try to appeal any of this on the basis of age or mental state, or I don't know, that she baked them a banana bread or something?
No, I think her only chance is an appeal on Sixth Amendment. I mean, her attorney, really was decent at times and not decent at times, and seemed, the sleeping pill thing. I saw she fell asleep one time. I mean, you just have to wonder how effective her assistance of counsel really was. I'm sure that will be one appealable item.
How appealable do you think it is? Because obviously Tom Petty, Donna's doppelganger, all the names that we've been calling Jackie Fulford over the last couple of weeks, they haven't been super positive. And it's not like because she's been a superstar attorney and she just kind of, looks like Tom Petty. She hasn't been her arguments were weak. They seemed to meander and go nowhere. Her choice of appearance, it looks like she went to Goodwill and bought a bad fitting men's suit and decided to wear that into court multiple days in a row. Just from the, someone who's not of a legal mind, just a bystander, and you look at this and go, that's not a great attorney. I don't think. Surely a court would, or a judge maybe would look at this and have some grounds, but other than appearance and kind of being sloppy, there's a lot of bad attorneys out there. It doesn't necessarily mean you get a new trial.
Yeah, I don't think she'll get a new trial, but I do think this will be an appealable point that they try to make. I don't think it's going to come out in the wash, though, Tony, that she gets a new trial, but I just think they're going to make a run at it.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.